a window. Welcome to the June 28, 2023 Oakland Mayor and Council meeting. At this time, this meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Law duly announced, advertised, and posted in the municipal building. The meeting will adjourn no later than 10 p.m. unless the majority of the council members that are present vote to extend the time. At this time, I ask everyone to stand for the pledge and remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Please sit first.
Mayor Schwager.
Here.
Council members Kamala, McCann.
Here.
Pignatelli.
Here.
Saliani.
Here.
Kuzinski.
Here.
Colomini.
Here.
Motion to excuse Councilman Kamala.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
My mayor's report. I have a lot of good things to say, so you're going to have to wait a little bit longer. First of all, thank you to Chopper and Public Events for the carnival, Mothers Club, Family Games, and to the members of Access for All. That was incredible. So just in case you missed the messaging about 202 and in Mawa, the borough was given notice just 2 days ago that 202 in Mawa is closed in both directions from Darlington Avenue to the Oakland border, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., weather permitting, detour Franklin Ave to Pullis to Camp Gore Road. So I think everybody knows by now, you can't go to Mawa on 202. You have to go around. Allen Brook update. Oh, where's Charlie? He's not here tonight.
Right here.
Oh, there you are. You're just up there. Bids were taken on Tuesday for Phase 1 debris removal, Allen Brook. Awarding bid tonight was, right, today, the bid was awarded. And pre-construction meeting is already scheduled for Friday.
Thank you.
And I did drive by Lakeshore a couple of times during the heavy rains, and the gates were opened. I get notices from DPW immediately as soon as they predict the weather, and they were opened. And now my report on the Patriots Way Bridge that a lot of people are anxiously awaiting. The borough has been pursuing, and I wrote this out so I wouldn't forget, the borough has been pursuing grant funding to replace the superstructure of the Patriots Way Bridge for several years. We've talked about it, I've talked about it, you've asked about it, complained about it, we know what we need to do. Prior to today, we have secured 2 NJDOT Department of Transportation grants totaling $1,213,170. Not enough. I have been pursuing help for funding from our federal, state, and county elected officials. We needed additional grants to cover the shortfall for this major project. I appealed to our congressmen, because we had one congressman, then it changed to the second congressman. Our state representatives, but heard the money is not there. I never gave up. I passed the Patriots Way Bridge daily. You know I live on the north end of town. And I knew we just had to keep trying. I don't give up. They said the money's not there. Well, we keep trying. As I stated previously, we were advised that to receive federal funding, we could not start the project. Therefore, we waited. That was the delay. They said once you get a shovel in the ground, you're not eligible for federal funding. Therefore, the possibility of federal funding would delay the start of the project by at least 2 years. As an alternative, funding was sought to minimize, if not eliminate, the cost to all our residents. With the many letters, calls, and pleading I sent, we became the squeaky wheel in Trenton, resulting in negotiations with New Jersey DOT to secure funding over multiple fiscal year funding cycles. Thank you to Richard Kunz and Michael Corelli, our borough employees, for preparing the new required grant applications, and to Kevin Boswell, our borough engineer, who developed the spending plan requested by the state, estimated the required funding we will need throughout the 24-month construction phase. I also spoke with Senator Sala, and he heard, and I thank him because he is the state senator overseeing DOT. The spending plan predicts the borough would require $4 million during fiscal year 2024. This will allow us to proceed and begin the project now and seek additional funding in the next fiscal year cycle. The additional funding would be allowed even though the project was started. Unlike with the federal government, we will be able to start the project with whatever funding we have now, and then in the next fiscal cycle, we could still apply even though we have started working. In other words, we are asking for funding now and additional funding next fiscal year. Just yesterday, we were advised the NJDOT fiscal year 2024 budget being presented to Governor Murphy for signing includes the additional $3 million in funding for the Oakland Patriots Way Bridge. The governor signs the budget, he has to sign the budget, that's important. And the grant funding for this project will increase to $4,213,170 for this year. This will cover all project costs through June 30th, 2024. The borough then will pursue the additional funding to cover the cost for balance of the project in the fiscal year 2025 funding cycle. All this is with the help, and I am so indebted to her, is the DOT Commissioner, Diane Gutierrez-Scachetti. Without her help and without her staff, this would never have happened. We need an ordinance to complete funding authorization to go out to bid. Therefore, I am going to ask the council to introduce funding and ordinance in the July meeting to enable the borough to award a contract after bidding is complete. It's a great day in Oakland for all our taxpayers and especially the residents of Ramapo River Reserve. We look forward to the ribbon cutting, standing on the bridge and allowing the trucks to then go back over the bridge. And with that, motion to open to the public.
So moved.
Second.
Hi, Ann Cedar, 33 Winding Ridge. So I just had a question about, like logistically, if we start the bridge, it's paid for through whatever is paid for through June 30th, 2024. Then what happens in July 2024 if we don't have the funding by July 2024? Is the project going to continue? How is it going to get paid if there is no more funding?
Our engineer will be speaking.
On those points?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
How you doing? Dave Richardson, 320 Rampo Valley Road, Oakland. I was in town today, going north on Rampo Valley Road. I saw something a little disturbing. I saw this kid riding on an electric bicycle on the sidewalk. I bet he was doing 30 miles an hour. If somebody ever come out of one of those stores and didn't see him coming, somebody's going to get hurt with these things. They should be licensed and they should be taken off the sidewalks.
All the police are here, they could hear you.
They're dangerous. I see it in Wayne. I see it. This kid came right down the sidewalks, right past the two stores. I bet he was doing 30 miles an hour. It could have been a motorcycle. If somebody came out of the store and didn't see him coming, who knows what would have happened. They should be outlawed off the sidewalks. All bicycles. Put signs up, no bicycles on the sidewalks. That's my spiel.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
You already answered my other one. I was going to talk
Oh, okay.
about the bridge. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Ally Gleason, 224 Hiawatha Boulevard. I'm here on behalf of the Oakland Pride Group to again ask for a flag. We were here 4 years ago. Some of you are here, some of you are not. It is important to the LGBT community to see representation. It is important to the community to know that they are supported, especially in a time when so many of them feel that they need to go back into hiding, to go back to a point where they are not feel that they can be open, and especially children. And requesting that Oakland does this. We have some flags that we brought, if that is supported by the town, where I sent a petition to all of the town council. Right now I'm at about 350 people and counting. It is a digital petition, so you should all take a look at it. It's growing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. Chopper Russo, 392 Rampart Valley Road. I want to congratulate everyone that helped us with the carnival. It was a team effort. You know, Danny and May, Mike Kozak, Joe, Andrea, Chris, Kevin. Oh yeah, Kevin. Jim, right? Did I get everybody? It's a team effort. Thanks to the Oakland PD with their presence there was great. DPW, forget about it. They're over the top. Jimmy and his crew, Frankie boy, you know, they're always there for us. Was a little bit of a learning curve with the kiosks. So I told anybody it was my contemporary to talk to their kids or their grandkids, and they were much more efficient with it. There were a couple glitches. The software is definitely very basic. We were only 12th midway, which means the 12th carnival they had used. So other than not having exact change, it went well. It didn't help that the generator was closed down at 5:40 opening night, and it took at least 20 minutes to reboot it, so we had a line. Other than that, it went pretty well. We're working on different plans for next year to give a prepayment discount, and then also to set up like a fast pass lane. So, you know, we appreciate everyone being patient. It was a little, Wednesday night was the big hit because of the weather and because of the graduations on Thursday. That was our best opening night ever. Overall, Friday was kind of a washout. So just to give you the quick numbers, overall we grossed $94,536. That is just for the rides. The games of chance were run by the Mothers Club along with the Newcomers Club, and they did quite well. Most of the 501c that did the food, Wednesday was their best night. Okay, so on the first night we did 25,290. Thursday night was 21,492. Friday was 11,269, and this was weird. On Saturday it was an even 20,000. In addition, we had pre-sale of 16,485. Our take of the 94,536 is 35%, which was $31,031.75. We have another check coming in for $1,600. So the gross receipts were $32,631.75. We still have some invoices to collect. I'm fighting them on the toilet that was broken in the VIP. It was in the ladies' room, so we blamed Linda. So they're trying to charge us. They hit me
Not
with it.
really, he just blames me for everything.
It snowed 2
Please
feet a
get
couple
that
years
one.
ago. It said on Facebook, Linda did it. It was her fault. So I'm fighting them on a $300 emergency charge for their defective.
But it was air
material.
conditioned.
But it was air conditioned, and the radio finally worked. So all in all, we definitely netted a little bit over $18,000, which is great because that'll fund what we're doing going forward. Had we had fireworks, because I still get busted on this, my ex-wife that doesn't even live in town harassed me, it would have been a net loss. So we got enough money for all the youths in Oakland to continue with all the different events we have. And again, thank you for everybody coming out. Access for all, God bless them. All right? Saturday, it didn't rain, but we got clobbered with that lightning thing. So, you know, which we have to abide by for everybody's safety. They had, well, you're going to give your report, but they were great. They were great, and what a big plus to the community. I encourage everyone to help them and to make that to grow, because what they're doing is just a fabulous thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
I mentioned that, right? I mentioned.
Did you?
I mentioned everybody? Yeah.
VIP access. Carrie Serenides, 41 Sioux Avenue. Just to say what everybody else said, thank you so much. Access for All had 31 people pre-registered. We thought that because of the rain on Saturday that we weren't going to get that many people, and we actually wound up having 83 people come. So that was really, really amazing. I just, if I can, just like to read a letter from Access for All. We will be sending this out. It says, "Dear supporter, this is an open letter to all who participated in and made our second annual Access for All Oakland Carnival event last week a success. To all the organizers, supporters, donors, who are way too many to name, and who collectively made, made this year event more far-reaching than the year before, thank you. There were many happy faces because of your kindness. Many more thanks go to Chopper Russo, Mayor Linda Swager, Public Events Committee, Rotary Club, Mothers Club, DPW and staff, our police officers. Great having a booth next to you, by the way. ShopRite of Oakland, except it wasn't good about the donuts.
Yeah, they were too good.
I tried every day. I tried to not look at those donuts. ShopRite of Oakland for donating healthy snacks. ShopRite of Oakland donated 2 cases of bananas, 2 cases of oranges, and 2 cases of apples.
60 pounds of fruit.
60 pounds of fruit. They were amazing. Terra Wheels, which lent us those big terrain wheelchairs that we had. They, normally they charge. They lent it to us for that whole time. Vicky and Sally, the therapy dog, that was loved by all. And for all the individuals who anonymously donated, we had $75 in cash donations. Which is amazing. In addition, special thanks go to the kind and caring carnival owners and vendors that allow for an early, safe, and quiet time for our unique community. You all made a difference, and our hearts are full. Sincerely, Access for All. So thank you, everybody.
Would you tell everybody when you meet and where, so that if anybody's interested, or they could contact?
Yes, you can contact me. Our email address is oaklandsafa@gmail.com. Our next meeting is July 5th at 7:30. We usually meet at the Senior Center. We also try to have it on Zoom. I don't know if we will this time because not everybody will be there, but you can definitely reach out to any one of us.
July 5th, 7:30.
Yes,
Senior
ma'am.
Center.
Yeah, thank you.
Good evening. Frank Pentema, 6 Mountain Lakes. Great job, public events and Access for All. Great job. Just a couple things, Mayor. Really happy to hear that you guys got some funding and you're continuing to get more for the bridge. The more you get, the better for us all. But let's not forget the sewer project.
We haven't forgotten.
Okay, because right now we're footing that bill, those of us there. There's a number of things that can be done to help offset that, and I've discussed that with a number of the councilmen. Some are no longer here, but happy to share that info with David and Rich, and let's see what we can do to take some of that pressure off. Wondering if Ms. Cedar has gotten an apology yet from the councilman who shall not be named. Ann, have you got? No. Oof. February 8th and counting. And I'm just curious, statement-wise, I missed the last couple meetings, but I caught the last meeting and noticed that we voted to reinstitute liquor license in town. Obviously, we do this annually, but it's just quite interesting to me because the councilman who shall not be named spoke about the deleterious effects of cannabis and alcohol is as bad, if not worse. But no problem voting on that. Just a curious thing in my mind. Thanks.
Thank you. And we will, I'd like to meet with you on the sewers.
I'll be happy to.
I'll try to speak fast, I'm sorry, in advance. Andrea Levy, 780 Ramapo Valley Road. I'm going to start off with the really good news. If you haven't heard, I know you folks have, but the Arts Pavilion at Great Oak Park is soon going to be completed. And we're really excited about that because I've been working with Mike from the Rec Commission, and through the Arts Committee, we are going to be booking entertainment for our residents, and we're just like so excited about this, teaming. So we have a couple of grand opening events that we're going to be scheduling and sharing more about. July 28th, we have an open mic and jam session that will be hosted by Real Brave, just so we can kind of get our feet wet at the location. But everybody, please take out your calendars. Put September, thank you, Pat. I saw you grabbing that. September 9th.
Oh, the pen and pencil?
Yeah, he's writing it down. I can't commit to memory, right? You gotta write it down. September 9th, we are going to have our grand opening event, and everybody is invited to the event. A lot of information will be forthcoming, but I have heard that we have a commitment from our local band, The Core, made up of Oakland moms and dads, who I think many of us have seen around town, that everybody's going to really like. But we're going to have a host of entertainment. We're hoping to have food and fun, and we're really excited about that. So again, September 9th. Sunday's hike is at 9 a.m. We're going to leave the lot at Skyline Drive at 9 a.m. and it's a little bit of a longer hike this time, going through the Vance Lake Castle. And this Thursday, meaning tomorrow, we have an open mic night at Real Brave. And excuse me, losing my words here. I want to thank everybody who helped us with the Arts in Oakland Festival. It's 2 weeks ago now, and we finally settled down. And unfortunately, weather kind of zapped us a little bit as far as attendance goes. Despite that, everybody who came had a wonderful time. The performers were wonderful. The artists that shared their creativity in the walls of the library, that was wonderful. And the one thing that really struck me this year was the Makers and Bakers, our local cottage industry that we have here in Oakland, set up shop there, and they were, I would say, one of the hits of the entire event. So I just want to thank Mayor and Council for supporting this. Also our public events, thank you very much. Tent, very much appreciated. Real Brave and Kevin, who was a champion when the speakers blew after the first act of the first night. He actually went out and bought new speakers and came back, and we started back up again. So bravo to Kevin, our arts committee, and Allie and everybody else on it, the artists and performers, the many of them, Makers and Bakers, the police, thank you very, very much, and the library, of course, and I can't say enough. I know you guys hear this often, but the DPW, hands down,
DPW,
man,
great.
those guys rock.
Yep.
Thank you very, very much on that front. And there's one other note that I have to share. I know you know what I'm going to say. The mural contest has been extended. I know, right? To September 8th. There is now a prize. There will be a $750 prize for, the winning art that is selected, along with the supplies for it. So please go on the arts page on the Oakland website and check that out. And thank you very much. I won't take any more time. Appreciate it.
Hi, Mike Guadagnino, 34 Hopper Street. It's going to be really quick. That Andrea mentioned about the band shell. We're all excited about it. But one we have not thanked. I really want to thank publicly because I have been critical at times. But I'm going to thank publicly. Thank Kevin, John,
for the engineering and donating the engineering for that. So thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. You guys did a great job. Thank you.
I think they're getting impatient, so you want to hold off on the engineering? Is that okay? Or do you want to say something?
Maybe I suggest just questions on the Patriots Way Bridge, or the police are going for their holsters, so.
Oh, okay.
I think the police go first.
Let the police, yeah, that's right.
Resolution first. We have to.
Right, I know that. All right, but I need a motion to close. Did you want to say something? Oh.
Motion to close the open
Yes.
session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so now we have two resolutions that we have to do first and then the swearing in. Resolution 23-204 is to hire Hank Anderson as an Oakland police officer. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Council members McCann,
Yes.
Pignatelli.
Yes.
Saliani.
Yes.
Kuzinski.
Yes.
Palomini.
Yes.
Now we have resolution, what was that? Oh. It's a resolution? Resolution. Resolution 23-205, hire Kyle Delahanty as Oakland police officer.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Council members McCann.
Yes.
Pignatelli.
Yes.
Saliani.
Yes.
Kuzinski.
Yes.
Palomini.
Yes.
And now I need our incoming police officers. We'll go in alphabetical order. Who would you like to hold the Bible?
My mom.
Mom. Don't cry. Of course. Or where's the Bible?
Yeah, you come up.
Oh, what happened to the Bible? That's always here. It's heavy. Sometimes, yes, it's heavy. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Repeat after me. I,
I,
and your full name,
Hank Anderson,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and the governments
and the government
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in this state,
and of this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform
perform
all the duties of the office of Oakland Police Officer
all the duties of the office of Oakland Police Officer
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Mom, and I guess you want brother.
Thank you.
Congratulations, and congratulations. But he's not finished because he has to sign.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
You get to sign, give me your address. This is not the beginning. Oh, so you have some time.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, Kyle, ready? As many people as you want can come up and hold the Bible, because it is heavy. so you could share holding it. Get in there. Ready? I
I, Kyle Delahanty,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and that I will bear true
faith
faith
and
and
allegiance
allegiance
to the same and the governments
and the governments
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in this state
and in the state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and
and
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform
perform
all the duties of the office of Oakland Police Officer
all the duties of the office of Oakland Police Officer
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
And now it's official.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. You're proud of him. We're looking forward to having him work here. Thank you. Yes. And you have to sign to make it official. Your name and your address. Go shake everybody's hand. Ready? Now you're welcome to stay, or you could leave. And we'll take a little 2-second break. Okay, now, engineer's report. You want to stand over there so that you can be heard? Sure. At the podium?
Over here. Should I move this up?
That's the microphone.
I think it's the thing up there.
Yeah.
You're good.
You're good.
Turn left.
Your voice playing very well.
You'll be fine. Good evening. I'm here to report on a couple of projects. First one is the...
First introduce it, not everybody,
I'm
we
sorry.
all know you, but not everybody does.
My name is Kevin Boswell. I work with John over at Boswell Engineering. I'm president of Boswell Engineering, and we serve as borough engineer, and we're working on a couple of larger projects for the borough. So I'm here to report on progress on some of those projects. The major ones I came to talk about tonight was the wastewater management plan, the wells, the permitting for what we refer to as the land use permitting for wells 5, 9, and 10, as well as the Patriots Way Bridge. The wastewater management plan is something that the borough's been working on for 30 years. We've been involved in it for about 6. And I'm pleased to report that for the second time in those 6 years, we are scheduled to be published in the New Jersey Register on August 7th, effectively providing formal notice of the wastewater management plan amendment that will allow parts of the borough to be sewered, and that opens up a 30-day comment period with the expectation that a formal adoption or approval of the wastewater management plan
would occur 60 to 90 days after that publication date. So we're looking at getting approved sometime in October, November of this year. It's a very difficult thing to predict because that group, unlike many other groups in DEP, doesn't have a formal clock to work by, but we believe that we've addressed everything, and barring any unforeseen issues arising, we should have an approval before the end of the year. So I would encourage the mayor and council to commence discussions for what I refer to as the business side of the project, and that is to engage with Northwest Bergen Utilities Authority, and there's a requirement to purchase safe yield, amend your water allocation permit. It's a very complex undertaking, but I think we're teed up pretty well to get that work done. So I'm pleased that after 6 years of serving the borough, pursuing this, I think we're finally at the, call it the 5 or 3 yard line, ready to go into the goal end zone. The second project is the PFA treatment on 3 wells, well 5, well 9, and well 10. We currently have the water permits from DEP for all 3 wells. We are waiting on the land use permits from DEP for 1 remaining well. We have it for well 5, well 9, and we were told today by DEP that they plan on issuing that permit by the end of next week, by July 7th. So, in a similar matter to the first topic I talked on, I've been coordinating with Mr. Kunz as the administrator. The next step would be to bid those improvements. You've already done an excellent job separately bidding the procurement of the units, so that there's this whole supply chain issue of a delay in getting them. So several months ago you bid that aspect of it, so that this part of it is to bid the install of the units that are supplied by the manufacturer. So again, we're trying to take the critical path to compress the timeline. I reported 3 months ago that we believe that that project should be complete sometime before the end of February. We do believe that that's still the schedule. You have an administrative consent order, what we call an ACO, that has a deadline of the end of March. So we think that we are tracking right where we thought we would be when we last discussed it here 3 months ago. The last item is the Patriots Way Bridge. Patriots Way Bridge is a really complex funding challenge. And the real reason is because the amount of funding exceeds almost all avenues of funding, with the exception of federal funding. And the problem with federal funding is the funding that you're hearing about when you read in the paper and hear the news, you're really hearing about the Infrastructure Investment and Recovery Act, the IRRA. That funding has been talked about, but it hasn't really come out. It's been assigned to the mega projects, the gateway projects, the big projects like that, Terminal A, but it hasn't really trickled down to the municipalities. And in order to use that type of money, you have to go through an entirely different environmental review process. This project is already designed. It's already secured NJDEP permits, and then it would be subjected to a whole other, they call it a NEPA, federal review process. So it's a very complex thing. So that brings us back to state funding alternatives. And state funding, as far as the mayor mentioned earlier, the county, the arrangement that we're working on is that this is a one-time improvement capital undertaking for the borough. The idea is that the borough will replace the superstructure And then from that point on, the county will then take over ownership of the bridge, and they will agree to pay all expenses to what we call operate and maintain the bridge. So this is a one and done for the borough, and the county has indicated that they're willing to spend the continuing expense, but they are not willing to put up the initial capital expense of replacing that infrastructure, that superstructure. That brings us back to the DOT. The DOT has a local aid fund that, as the mayor reported, you've got 2 cycles, funding cycles. Everything goes on a funding cycle. And you've got a little over $1.2 million to date. To give you some idea of the available funding, there's about $8 million available statewide through this funding cycle. We're looking for $8 million. So the state just doesn't have the kind of funding to be able to take 100% of their funding and direct it at one project in Oakland. So the commissioner and the mayor is absolutely correct. The commissioner took a special interest in this project, and I'm very happy to say that she plugged in a $3 million line item into the fiscal year 2024 budget that we were told yesterday by the deputy commissioner that as soon as Governor Murphy signs the budget, we have our $3 million and we can proceed. Earlier there was a lady who asked a question, what does that mean in terms of future funding? What does it mean in terms of the progress of the project? This is a little bit of this is one of these things where you have to jump in the water or not. You can't stop the project once you start the project, and this would mean that the borough would need to effectively bond the entirety of the project on day one, award that project, and then the spending plan that we referred to earlier was really to see what the anticipated spend would need to be prior to the next fiscal year kicking in, and then 11 months from now, 10 months from now, really throughout the whole year, we're going to be doing the same thing we did this year. We started this process, I remember the date, it was April 15th, because that was the day we were denied on the local aid infrastructure funding. So since April 16th, we've been working on this chunk of money. So there's an additional $5 million that we're looking to secure. And there's a little bit of that could be pushed up off into fiscal year 2016. It's a complex project. So we're happy that, to answer your question earlier, once you start the project, you're not stopping the project. It would require that the council consider bonding the entirety of the project. And there is no guarantee of future money, but you do have $4.2 million as of today.
I have a question.
I'm sorry, as soon as the mayor signs the budget.
Governor.
The governor.
Governor signs it.
Yeah, not me, I don't sign this
Mayor,
budget.
yeah, Governor
So the
Murphy.
question I have, we said before that we could not start the project because then it would jeopardize any funding if
Right.
we already started it. Now, we're going to bond $8 million. We have to fully bond it now. Will that preclude us
No.
in the future, like we did,
No,
like we said now? Okay.
That was
No,
what I
we
was
will,
saying.
we
with the
will,
state.
it's an excellent question, and we can secure that in writing before we would recommend proceeding with the job.
Yeah, thank
We
you.
will get that in writing from the commissioner's
It was
office.
the federal government, that's why we waited and waited.
Well, yeah, the federal government, and there are some state programs that also applies to, but we're kind of we're in what used to be referred to as the discretionary funding. There's a new name for it. It was the PMRF, I believe it's called, Program Management. It's the successor to the discretionary funding round, and it's obviously it can be far more flexible to come up with this kind of money.
I think this is one of the largest Oakland ever received, or?
It probably is the largest, it's the largest single grant that I can recall us ever received. And if I can take a moment and just let everybody know where the financing stands right now. So basically, and what you have to keep in mind is we can't award a contract unless the funding has been authorized in full, in some manner. Okay, we can pledge grants against that, what have you. There needs to be some local funding source identified, whether it be via a capital ordinance, bond ordinance, a grant budget that gets set up. So there are prior ordinances, bond ordinances that councils have authorized for a portion of the funding. What we think, looking at this now and subject to a final look with Boswell at the cost estimate for the project, we think that pledging the grants, which we haven't pledged the $1 million yet, coupled with this means that we'll be able to back the capital ordinance that you're going to see with those grants. You're not going to have to authorize any additional debt. If we get additional money in the fiscal year 25 budget, that would actually go to offset future debt service. Okay? So this is really a significant advancement for us and a huge help financially. So what you'll see is at the same time as we're getting the rest of the funding in place, as soon as we have the award letter, some written confirmation from the state, we will go out to bid. Speaking with Boswell, that will be on the street, probably longer than a road program would. This is a complex project, and we're looking to be able to make an award, probably targeting the first meeting in September. That's probably what we're looking at realistically at the moment.
I think it might be October as far as an award. Because it may be, yeah, you want to have some time to review it, but we have you'll be starting the project November.
In other
something
words,
like
we
that.
start, we finish. That's the bottom line. We don't just stop.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about different timelines. There's 6 construction phases to this job. It requires a lot of moving utilities back and forth. Obviously, pre-ordering steel. This is a 24 months project. This is not a quick project. It's a very complex project, and I just want to let everybody know.
But we did it with the state. I mean, I was just so excited. She came through. That commissioner came through.
The commissioner is an amazing individual. She's truly amazing.
And I think Paul Solo, when I talked with Paul
And
Solo,
yeah,
who is
there are a lot of elected officials.
Yes. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we have, you're on. Steve Lyden, Housing Element and Fair Share Plan presentation from Borough Planner Downtown and Affordable Housing Ordinances.
Good evening. Thank you for everything. Thank everyone for
Oh, we
having
didn't,
me.
wait a minute. We didn't do the minutes.
Doesn't matter. You do after.
Oh, okay. We'll do it after.
Okay. I know a housing plan is not as sexy as a bridge, and I'll hope to be quick. We've been working on this housing plan, not quite as long as Kevin and John have been working on the...
Almost.
Almost. Not quite as long. So the first thing to start off with is, what is a housing element and fair share plan? Well, it's one of the many elements in a community's master plan. And housing elements have a heightened importance for a number of reasons. First, they're a mandatory element. Within the municipal land use law, there are some optional elements, and there are some mandatory ones, and this is a mandatory one. So we need to do it. And secondly, if a community wants to have a zoning ordinance, as Oakland does, you need to have a housing element. You also need to have a land use element, which we have. So no housing element, no zoning. So it's somewhat important. The current status of our housing element, what I'm seeking tonight is the board to adopt a resolution endorsing, not approving, endorsing the housing element. The planning board adopted earlier this year, and most master plan elements get approved by the planning board and they never come to this council, but the housing element is the one element in the master plan, which is another reason why it's unique, that requires the governing body to endorse it. The plan is dated December 21st, 2022. The basis for the housing plan that we've prepared is first the municipal land use law, second it's the New Jersey Fair Housing Act, and then it's also based on estimates of statewide need for affordable housing. In the past, those estimates were generated through a complex process, but generally through the Department of Community Affairs. Now an advocacy group is doing them, and there's been a lot of fighting and bickering about the numbers, but invariably the advocacy group wins when it comes to establishing the numbers. And they have been resolved because there was a court case a couple of years ago, and Judge Jacobson basically adopted what the Housing Advocacy Group proposed. And then there's also a court-approved settlement agreement that we have between the Fair Share Housing Center and the Borough of Oakland. That probably needs to be amended because there was a very late intervener in our housing plan. So what are the achievements of this housing plan? Well, each New Jersey community has a constitutional obligation to provide for its fair share of the region's low and moderate income housing obligation. And that's why there's so much fighting over just what our fair share is. And that's why the numbers are litigated back and forth. The plan is approved by the planning board and offered to this committee or this council for endorsement tonight, approves or solves all three aspects of the affordable housing number. And if you go to the next one, Michael? Yes. So, like every other community in the state, we were assigned numbers. Our rehabilitation share obligation was assigned at 23 units. That's the only part of the obligation that deals with existing dwelling units. Those are housing units in town that have one or more code violations. Like, for instance, they might have a bad roof, they might have a bad well, the septic system doesn't work, something along those lines. So we have an obligation to renovate, rehab 23 units. The prior round obligation, which covers the time frame from 1987 to 1999, we have an obligation for 220 housing units. Those are all low-income or moderate-income housing units. The third round housing cycle, which is the one we're in now, which started in 1999 and continues until 2025, the obligation assigned to Oakland was for 462 units of affordable housing. So our new construction obligation that was assigned to the borough was 682 units. And the housing element that we're seeking your endorsement for tonight addresses all three of those obligations. First, we sought and received credit for 6 dwelling units that were previously rehabilitated. So instead of 23, we're looking at 17. And on that, we are working with community grants. Community grants. Their name is longer than that, but I'll shorten it. And they've put together a handouts and flyers, and I have a bunch of them here tonight, where Oakland residents or tenants can get up to $30,000 free to renovate their dwelling and bring it up to code. Both renters and homeowners can qualify, and that money does not come from your budget. It comes from something called the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which is funded by developers. So that $30 per dwelling unit is not funded by the municipality. And we've already had like 32, I think they were all homeowners, approach community grants about participating in that program. I don't think all 32 will do it because there are things that make it somewhat difficult, and they have to be income qualified, and they also need to be willing to bring up the house, the dwelling, up to today's current code. So some people get scared off by that. But if they're willing to see the program through, they can get $30,000 to renovate a dwelling, and it won't cost them anything.
Before we move on with that, when I was in Morris County, they had a requirement that you have to live in the house for at least 5 years after you get the money.
I think it's 6 now, Councilman. Well, no, you get the money up front.
Yeah, but you have to live in the home 5 years after that.
Correct, and at that time, the grants are forgiven.
Correct.
So you get the improvement, and if you live there for 6 years,
Right.
you have nothing out of your pocket.
Correct.
If you move after half of, let's say, 3 years, there's a sliding scale, and there's a lien on the property, and some of that money would need to be refunded back to the program, which would then go back to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which then can be used to renovate another dwelling. So there is that occupancy requirement, but it's only 6 years, and at the end of that 6 years, the money's forgiven. So we've done 6 of those. The borough, through its housing element, has also sought and secured a vacant land adjustment, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And we also sought and secured a durational adjustment for the entire new construction obligation. The details. The rehab costs, as I mentioned earlier, are paid for from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which is money that developers post with the borough. So, and that money goes into a separate account, and it's an interest-bearing account, so it's not costing the township to borrow money. The 682 cumulative housing unit new construction obligation was reduced to 148 unit obligation. So our obligation was reduced as a realistic development potential by 534 units. Now, it's not like the 534 units go away, but the borough is not really obligated to produce those 534 units. It's called unmet need. Well, if it's an unmet need, how do you meet it? They kind of recognize that it's not going to be met. So we did go from 682 to 148 units. And then the Oakland's durational adjustment means that the construction of any affordable housing is deferred until the sanitary sewers are available and operational. So we're not going to see hundreds of units all of a sudden get constructed in town. Fulfillment of the 148 unit realistic development potential obligation is going to occur in a number of ways. The Board of Adjustment approved an application, and there was one affordable housing unit in that, and there was a 2-bedroom rental. Because it's a rental, we actually get a bonus credit for it. You get a 1-for-1 credit. So we actually get 2 units for that. There's a 10-unit proposed senior building where the borough has already acquired the land, and we're waiting for the sewers to make that viable. The reconstituted bi-county development along the Wayne border is still viable. They haven't done anything about using their approvals, but they are still a viable development. The finale tract along McCoy Avenue has received preliminary site plan approval from the planning board. They are still waiting in sewers and waters because that's coming in through Franklin Lakes Borough. And then there are several scattered site developments along the Round Valley Road corridor, and I'll go through those quickly. We have the RA AH3 zone, which is slated to produce 20 affordable dwelling units, and that's on Raritan
People don't know
Ave.
what that means.
20 affordable dwelling units?
No, RA.
Oh, I'm sorry. RA means residential zoning here in Oakland, and the AH simply means affordable housing, and it was the 3rd zone, so we named it 3rd. So if that gets built, we're expecting, the plan is expecting creation of 20 units on that site. That site's on Raritan Avenue, behind the firehouse on York Walk, up the hill. The RA AH4 zone is expected to produce 4 affordable dwelling units, and that's on West Oakland Avenue, opposite the 287 interchange, just down a little bit from the Walgreens and City MD site, opposite side of the street. The RA AH5 zone, we're expecting 17 affordable dwellings, and that's at the end of Terhune Street or Elm Street. It's the property behind Oakland Hardware. And last, we have, and latest, is the MUAH zone, which is slated to produce 6 affordable dwellings, and that property is behind the Starbucks Walgreens Center. It's called MU for mixed use, because part of that property, it's about a 2.4 acre site, I believe. Part of that property, the developer wants to build a restaurant on it. So there'd be two uses on the property. They may subdivide it, they may not. The ordinance we prepared would allow for either condition to happen, either subdivided or not. So we're looking at 47 affordable dwellings downtown, as long as you include Raritan Avenue in the description of downtown. So we're looking for the council to endorse the plan. There are a number of ordinances which have also been distributed to council to implement that plan. Some of those ordinances have already been adopted a year or two ago. The RA3AH, the RA4AH, and the RA5AH are zones which exist, and the only modification we're seeking now is to insert a provision to those ordinances which will require developers to maintain the level of service on the adjacent roadways. As we were preparing the number of zones for the affordable housing plan, we realized that number of units could potentially, if not addressed, affect the carrying capacity of the surrounding road network on Rampa Valley Road, Yawpaw, West Oakland. So the clauses in the 3, 4, and 5 zone, there's only one in each of those zones, would require that developers maintain the existing level of service, which is a quantitative term that traffic engineers use to describe congestion on area roadways. We're looking to put the same criteria, the same provision in the senior affordable housing district, which is for 10 senior affordable apartments just down the street on Rampa Valley Road. I certainly don't expect a 10-unit apartment building to adversely affect the level of service on Rampa Valley Road. But we didn't want to be in a situation where it looked like we made the developers do it, but the municipally sponsored project got off scot-free. So for perception purposes, we wanted to put that in there. We also wanted to put in, and we didn't do this on the three earlier ones I talked about, because they're vacant parcels. They're going to be qualified and quantified as major development projects under DEP regulations. Again, perception-wise, we didn't want the development of properties downtown to be perceived as making flooding situations in Oakland worse. So in the senior affordable housing district on Rampa Valley Road, we have a provision that whether DEP regulations would treat it as a major project or not and require stormwater management controls and stormwater quality improvements, we're going to classify it locally. We would classify it as a major project, so those improvements would be made. So, so there's no perception that the municipal sponsored project somehow got off scot-free. The last adjustment to that zone is during the give and take and the back and forth with the master, she thought it'd be a good idea, and the master is a court-appointed planner, typically, not always a planner, typically a planner, who assists the court in reviewing our housing element. She thought it'd be a good idea if we had an additional very low-income unit at the senior building. We're looking at seniors. They all have to income qualify. Most of them will probably be qualified as very low income. So we said, why not? So there's a provision in that ordinance which would create additional very low income unit. The other ordinances that have been distributed, the mixed use affordable housing zone is one that does not exist. And we have all those criteria. We have the level of service provision in there. We have we don't have the stormwater management in that ordinance because some of the drainage already went in when they were building Walgreens and Starbucks and Columbia Bank. And much of that water is piped across the street to a detention basin. So because they've already started that, we didn't want to possibly interfere with it. So we don't have the stormwater management in there, but we would allow for the 6 units of affordable housing, all rental, so we'd get the 2-for-1 bonus credits again. And it would also allow for the restaurant use to be there, although I think the existing use would probably allow the restaurant, the existing zoning would probably allow the restaurant use, but we adjusted the area and bulk standards so that it would fit. And then lastly,
Excuse me, so the rentals are 2-for-1.
yes,
Are we getting the 2-for-1 on the Hovnanian?
Yes.
Two buildings?
yes. Because those are not senior buildings. Those are general rentals, so we are getting credit 2-for-1 on the Hovnanian building.
That's a lot of rentals.
Yes, it is, it's 40.
40, yeah.
So, so that's a big part of our housing plan, and it always was because Oakland doesn't have too many properties which are 40 acres in size.
That was the carrot for that property.
That site had to be included in our plan. So then lastly, real quick, the planning board, in addition to doing this housing work, has also been looking at downtown Ralph Valley Road and trying to prepare for the next housing cycle, and also to try to enliven the district, try to entice people to come down, give people more reasons to come downtown. And so there's a downtown 1 and 2 ordinance in your packets. Basically what we've done with that, with the downtown 1 district, we added a lot of uses like martial arts, like instructional classes, like golf putting. I know Mr. Boswell mentioned teed up before. So we provided for golf simulation uses. We've also put in the provision about the level of service, and we've put in the provision about the stormwater management. And then the DT, the Central Business District 2, and we changed the name because Central Business District zones sound like a place to do business, but we're trying, cash and carry retail, we're trying to broaden the appeal of that zone, so we thought it was an appropriate time to rename it. The now Central Business District 2 zone gets renamed Downtown 2 zone, and we propose to extend that to Franklin Avenue. The Central Business District now stops at 287 overpass. The idea was, let's carry, if it's such a good idea, why don't we carry it down to Franklin Avenue, not just on the west side of Ralph Valley Road, which is in a B2 zone, which is somewhat similar, but also on the other side of the street, which is industrially zoned. So that's one change in the map that we propose. And then lastly, there's an overlay zone on those downtown districts, and they would have the provisions about level of service. They would have provisions on the stormwater management controls, and they also would allow for apartments on the first floor if certain very specific conditions were met, and only limited to 25%. We argued strenuously with the master for months about that, and the master would not budge. She wanted to see at least the potential for downtown first floor apartments if certain criteria were met. And so that's what we agreed to. So in a nutshell, in 5 minutes, or hopefully not too many more minutes than 5, that's the housing plan in a nutshell. And we would look for your endorsement of that plan. So when we go to our next case management conference with the judge, we'll have another piece done. We are getting very close to wrapping it up, and we will have it done before Mr. Boswell gets the bridge done.
And we have a lot of ordinances to introduce later on.
Yes. So if anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them. One thing which I neglected to mention, when people hear low and moderate income, I think most people have the wrong idea. You can be a family of 3 and qualify as a moderate income family. You can make $86,000, almost $87,000. So moderate doesn't mean very, very poor. You have to have a job, you have to be working, and even a single person can make almost $68,000 and still qualify as moderate income. So, so I just wanted to focus on that for just a brief second. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Thank you.
No, thank you. I broke my pen.
You're welcome to stay. So we have to go back to the minutes. The June 14th meeting. The minutes of June 14th is, hopefully everybody has them. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
I have a question. It says roll call. It says Kumala, McCann, Pignatelli, Saliani, and Slazinski. Do you have to say it was via telephone? McCann, further down, but shouldn't it be in the minutes right here? Because when he answered.
I'll amend accordingly.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other editing? Roll call.
Council members McCann,
Yes.
Pignatelli.
Yes.
Saliani.
Yes.
Slazinski.
Yes.
Talamini.
Abstain.
We have executive session for June 14th, 2023. If there's going to be any discussion, it must be done during executive session. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion. Second.
Again, it was by roll, it was by telephone. Any others? Roll call.
Council members McCann,
Yes.
Pignatelli.
Yes.
Saliani.
Abstain.
Slazinski.
Yes.
Talamini.
Abstain.
So we have resolutions. We'll do it as consent agenda. If you want any pulled out, I'm going to pull out right away 23208, the promotion of Tracy Saliani, because I know that you will be thinking that. And also, I'd like to pull out 23217, authorized change order number 1 for Van Allen House Phase 2, interior renovations project. I have a question on that. So 23206, renewal of a...
Mayor, I'd like to pull out 23222
222.
and 23212.
222 is special counsel related to PFAS litigation.
Yes. And then 212 as well.
212,
Yes, the equipment.
Bloomingdale, right. Two, 1, 2. And as I said, I'm going to be pulling out 217. Okay. 23206 is renewal of a liquor license. It's the period of July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. The applicant deposited a fee of $2,000, which is $150, and filed electronically, and that is for D&A Restaurant Ltd., 20 Elm Street, known as French Oak. 23207 is promotion for Anissa Manero. Sorry, Anissa, for account clerk 1 to account clerk 2, annual salary $65,044. 23208 has been pulled out. 23209 is authorized hire a deputy court administrator. We have discussed this. Glendolyn Rodriguez, hired as a deputy court administrator, annual salary $50,000, effective July 5th, 2023. 23210, authorized refund of recreation fees. Donna McNamee, 130 Lakeshore Drive, for cheerleading, $155. Sarah Michelle, 23 Cayuga Avenue, summer camp, $687. 23211 is the resolution expressing support for S3906, which would provide the Borough of Oakland with $4,117,130.44 million of state funds to repay debt, advance capital projects, and provide property tax relief. And it is on a per capita basis, meaning every town and county would get a share of the funding based on population. 23-213 is to adjust salary for our chief financial officer. It's part of a shared service agreement, and our chief financial officer is David Young, would be effective July 3rd, 2023. His annual salary will be $175,000, and will be shared with Hillsdale, right? Hillsdale? Is it Hillsdale?
Yes.
23-214, approval to submit a grant application to execute a grant contract with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the York Poe Avenue improvement projects. 23-215 is to hire additional summer camp counselor, Michaela Amoruso, $13.18, and Madeline Portsmore, junior counselor, $12.93 per hour. 216, that's resolution 23-216, authorize refunds of senior center program funds due to cancellations. Mary Lou Irizarry, 107 York Poe Avenue, wreath class $10. Patricia Swenson, 101 East Oak Street, wreath class $10. Arlene Novak, 138 Lakeshore Drive, wreath class $10. Deborah Schwartz, 620 Roundport Valley Road, wreath class $10. 23-218 is to award bid for the 2023 road resurfacing program. And paving contractor 675 Franklin Avenue Nutley submitted the lowest and responsive bid, $1,056,822.76. Our CFO has certified funds are available. 23, and there is a list of all the bidders, if anybody's interested. 23-219 is award bid to DS Meyer Enterprises LLC for River Road Water Main Improvement Projects. Total bid of $239,840. Our CFO has certified that the funds are available. 23-220, award bid for Almond Brook Debris Removal Project. T.R. Weniger, Inc., New Brunswick Avenue, Piscataway. Total bid price, $144,900. Our CFO has certified that the funds are available. 23-221, authorized Chapter 159 Shared Services Agreement for our Chief Financial Officer's services. That goes back with what we did with the CFO, and it's a shared service with the Borough of Hillsdale, in the amount of $49,500. 2222 was pulled out. 223, purchase of, I don't have that one. Purchase of gasoline and diesel fuel through 2023 New Jersey Co-op Purchasing Alliance. And it is from Michelle's from March 3rd, 2021 through March 2nd, 2023. Exercise the one-year extension option to March 2nd, 2024. Amount not to exceed $136,000. Any others pulled out other than I mentioned before?
Could we also pull out 218?
218 is the road resurfacing. Yes. Any others? Not, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Council members McCann?
Yes.
Pignatelli?
Yes.
Saliani?
Yes.
Solzinski?
Yes.
Palomino?
Yes.
Okay, we'll go in chronological order. Resolution 23-208, authorized promotion of Tracy Saliani. It is a recommendation by our CFO for a salary increase effective July 3rd, 2023, from Clerk 1 to Clerk 2. Annual salary of $51,150. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Council members McCann?
Yes.
Pignatelli?
Yes.
Saliani?
Abstain.
Solzinski?
Yes.
Palomino?
Yes.
Okay, so now we have 218 was pulled out, 217, 212, 222. So, 212, purchase of equipment from Borough of Bloomingdale. This was personal property needed for public use without the need of public bidding. Bloomingdale has two new, never used Weston snow plows, and they wanted $6,000 for each unit.
So,
CFO has certified funds are available for a total amount of
so
$12,000. Yes.
Mayor, I'd like to amend this, and the reason why is I found out from DPW today, they can give us a third plow that they have, and it would reduce the price to basically $5,600 per plow instead of $6,000. DPW needs it. I'd like to see if we can amend this resolution to include that, and then we're done with this.
Did you know about this, Richard?
Yeah, it came up after the packet was finalized for last week. They just took delivery of a third, pickup truck with a plow. Again, it was part of a package deal from a co-op. It's not the sort of brand plow that they use. So, like with the other two, they contacted DPW and offered it to us before they went and tried to put it out to auction.
What happened to the $4,000 we suggested?
It was not that negotiable.
Did they negotiate to $5,000?
It was actually $6,000 for the first two, $5,000 for this third. So
all three would be reduced?
It comes about $5,600 each.
Right, so the grand total is about 17. If we were to buy them retail, we'd be looking at over 24,000.
So we could amend this.
So-
Yeah.
Is there a motion to amend?
You know I love to amend resolution.
What?
You know I love to amend.
I know you do. That's
Motion to amend.
Second?
So the motion would be, we're going to buy 3 Weston snow plows for purchase price of $5,600 each. And originally, we said the CFO had certified $12,000 was available. Is he certifying that $17,000? What is it?
He can, the snow.
He can?
Yes, the storm response reserve is very healthy.
Okay. All right. And who made the motion?
I did.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Council members McCann?
Yes.
Pignatelli?
Yes.
Saliani?
Yes.
Slazinski?
Yes.
Palomino?
Yes.
All right, I pulled out 23-217, authorized change order number 1 for Ben Allen House Phase 2 interior renovations project for $21,780.90. And the reason why I pulled it out because no one is mentioning what's going on with the stream house. So I want to know what's going on with the stream house.
We had filed a grant, again, for the design work, and we are waiting for word back on that from the state. That's currently where it stands.
All right. Is there a that's the only reason why I pulled it out. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second? Roll call.
Council members McCann?
Yes.
Pignatelli?
Yes.
Saliani?
Yes.
Slazinski?
Yes.
Palomino?
Yes.
All right, resolution 23-218, award bid for 2023 road resurfacing program. Councilman? That was you.
Me, yes. Could we just go over the process of the roads that get picked? Because just in the last week, 2 people have asked me, and said, how do we...
Oh, I thought you were on the committee.
How do we go about it? So I just wanted to...
We stay out of it. If I'm correct, it's the engineer and DPW, but Mr. Engineer, why don't you tell us?
Yeah, it's driven mostly by the DPW. DPW produces a list, and because they are the ones that know the roads the best, they drive them every day. And we just very simply work off of the list, and they rank them the way that they feel that they're ranked. And I believe, and I don't want to speak for them, but I believe that they get inquiries, complaints during the year. They drive them, they rate them, and then, quite frankly, me as the engineer, I really don't adjust it too much from what they tell me. Is that correct, Mr. Coons?
Yeah, so based on what our own observations are, based on feedback from the public, they assess the roads. They actually, they'll assign a ranking to them. And basically, we try to go as much as possible in priority order based on that ranking as possible, given the amount of funding that we have in a given year. That's really the long and short.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to get it out
So
there.
maybe to the councilman's point, just pass those along to DPW. They log all those complaints, and work it into their list.
All right, thank you.
And then if they're not satisfied, they call me, and then I call John Yakimic.
And then I call DPW.
Yes.
Trickle down.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Roll call.
Council members McCann?
Yes.
Pignatelli?
Yes.
Saliani?
Yes.
Kuzinski?
Yes.
Palomino?
Yes.
And the next one is 23222, special counsel related to PFAS litigation.
I was going to turn it over to Roy to explain what everyone's that is.
Yes, so
Yes.
for everyone that's following the PFAS saga,
I think everybody is.
this is not obviously an Oakland-specific problem. There's numerous litigations going on around the country, and anyone who reads about it, last week in South Carolina, there's a preliminary settlement from 3M for $12 billion to be paid out. And we don't even want to know what they think their liability was because it made their stock jump up 8%. So last week, Councilman Kamala and Senator Shapizi brought it to my attention that there was a possibility for Oakland to enter into this lawsuit and obtain a percentage of whatever settlement is eventually entered into. There are a few law firms that are handling this. Specifically, they're already in the case. Getting Oakland into the case is just a matter of them taking their template and plugging Oakland into it. And we will be at some point entitled to hopefully some sort of damages in this 3M settlement. It's of no cost to the borough. The attorney's taking it on a contingency basis. So if we do not get any money, we don't get any money, but we expect this to be handled similar to the way the opium payout was handled, and we should expect not the money that it will cost for the PFAS entirely, but certainly a large portion of that we expect to be getting back. And so Councilman Kumala, Senator Shapizi, Rich, and myself met about this with the attorney last week, and we believe that it is in the governing body's interest to appoint Mr. Keefe and have him bring Oakland into this lawsuit.
I know Mr. Keefe, and he's a reputable attorney. He's past president of the New Jersey State Bar. Very reputable, and of course his firm, Willens, Goldman, and Spitzer, is
100 years old.
a big firm. But I know Mr. Keefe personally, so yes, I've spoken with him. So is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call.
Council members McCann?
Yes.
Pignatelli?
Yes.
Saliani?
Yes.
Kuzinski?
Yes.
Palomino?
Yes.
No cost to the borough.
Not even expenses.
Right. We have final adoption. This is 23 Capital 909 ordinance. Capital ordinance, order authorizing the various public improvements and acquisitions in, by, and for the borough, appropriating therefore the sum of $360,000, and providing that such sum so appropriated shall be raised from the capital improvement fund of the borough, $232,005, and from a Bergen County Open Space Trust Fund grants in the amount of $127,995. Is there a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Does anyone wish to speak on this? It's for Bush Plaza improvements, and it's the installation of sidewalks, curbing, clock tower, trees, and grassy area. Oh. No, I thought you left.
No, I'm still here. Chapalusa, 392 Rampart Valley Road. I get questions all the time. Bush Plaza. It's for a past mayor of the borough of
Oh,
Oakland?
Bush was,
Because everybody thinks it's George W. or George H.
no.
I know it's not, but that's the general
We
public
will have
says.
to give out, yes.
He's a farmer. He was an old farmer.
Yes.
20 years ago.
Yes.
Okay.
A founding member
I
of
get that
Oakland.
question all the time.
Thank you for bringing that to our
Yeah, it's
attention.
a founding member of Oakland.
Because Kevin dropped off the flyer for the
We
thing.
have the flyers. Do you have
Yeah.
the flyers?
It looks good.
Yes.
So-
We're going to be walking around to the businesses for donations, for benches, towards the clock, towards the flagpole, get your name on a plaque.
From a marketing standpoint, because of the last name, you should clarify who it is. Because some people think it's somebody else.
No, it's not him.
Appreciate the feedback.
We know that, but he's saying.
I never heard that.
Yeah?
Maybe because I knew the history.
You were too busy breaking the toilet at the...
Okay. Anybody else wish to speak on this?
Motion to close?
So moved. Second?
Second, yes, so, All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Council members McCann?
Yes.
Pignatelli?
Yes.
Saliani?
Yes.
Kuzinski?
Yes.
Palomini?
Yes.
Now we have introduction of many ordinances. 23910, an ordinance supplementing Chapter 9 of the Oakland Code to permit dog park rentals. It would be $200 not to exceed 3 hours or conclude after 6 p.m. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Council members McCann?
Yes.
Pignatelli?
Yes.
Saliani?
Yes.
Kuzinski?
Yes.
Palomini?
Yes.
And final hearing?
July 19th.
July 19th. You can get copies of all these ordinances that were being introduced tonight, and then you can speak or send us all your opinions. 23 Code 911, an ordinance supplementing Chapter 9 of the Oakland Code to codify Resolution 22257 regarding the banner sponsorship program. This has to do with recreation. One season, $500, 2 seasons, $1,000, 3 seasons, $1,200. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Council members McCann?
Yes.
Pignatelli?
Yes.
Saliani?
Yes.
Kuzinski?
Yes.
Palomini?
Yes.
And final hearing.
July 19th.
So now we have 23912, an ordinance to amend, supplement, and revise the Code of the Borough of Oakland Land Use, Chapter 59, entitled Land Use and Zoning related to the RA3AH zone. Your motion.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Council members McCann?
Yes.
Pignatelli?
Yes.
Saliani?
Yes.
Kuzinski?
Yes.
Palomini?
Yes.
Final hearing.
July 19th.
Code. (23-913), an ordinance to amend, supplement, and revise the Code of the Borough of Oakland Land Use, Chapter 59, entitled Land Use and Zoning related to RA4AH zone. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Council members McCann?
Yes.
Pignatelli?
Yes.
Saliani?
Yes.
Kuzinski?
Yes.
Palomini?
Yes.
And final?
July 19th.
Mayor, before you move on, Attorney, Mr. Gilson? Yes. Can we do these as consent?
I think they're all different. They're all different. 23 Code 914, because if you notice, all the zones are different.
It's just also ordinances you have to do them on first read.
It's just a question, that's all.
An ordinance to amend, supplement, and revise the Code of the Borough of Oakland Land Use, Chapter 59, entitled Land Use and Zoning related to RA5AH zone.
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Council members McCann?
Yes.
Pignatelli?
Yes.
Saliani?
Yes.
Kuzinski?
Yes.
Palomini?
Yes.
And final hearing.
July 19th.
23 Code 915, an ordinance to amend, supplement, and revise the Code of the Borough of Oakland Land Use, Chapter 59, entitled Land Use and Zoning related to the SAHD zone.
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Council members McCann?
Yes.
Pignatelli?
Yes.
Saliani?
Yes.
Kuzinski?
Yes.
Palomini?
Yes.
23 Code 96, final.
July 19th.
23 Code 916, ordinance to amend, supplement, and revise the Code of the Borough of Oakland Land Use, Chapter 59, entitled Land Use and Zoning related to the MUAH zone.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Council members McCann?
Yes.
Pignatelli?
Yes.
Saliani?
Yes.
Kuzinski?
Yes.
Palomini?
Yes.
Final hearing.
July 19th.
23 Code 917, an ordinance to amend, supplement, and revise the Code of the Borough of Oakland Land Use, Chapter 59, entitled Land Use and Zoning related to the DT1 zone.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Council members McCann?
Yes.
Pignatelli?
Yes.
Saliani?
Yes.
Kuzinski?
Yes.
Palomini?
Yes.
Final.
July 19th.
23 Code 19, an ordinance to amend, supplement, and revise the Code of the Borough of Oakland Land Use, Chapter 59, entitled Land Use and Zoning related to the DT2 zone.
Motion. So moved. No, second.
Roll call.
Council members McCann?
Yes.
Pignatelli?
Yes.
Saliani?
Yes.
Kuzinski?
Yes.
Palomini?
Yes.
Remember, the DT is downtown. Remember, they revised the word. 23-919, an ordinance to amend, supplement, revise the code of the Borough of Oakland, Land Use Chapter 59, entitled Land Use and Zoning Related to the CBD 2AHO Zone. Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Council members McCann.
Yes.
Pignatelli.
Yes.
Saliani.
Yes.
Solzinski.
Yes.
Palomini.
Yes.
Okay, work session. Mr. Glenn.
I was exhausted.
I guess that's me. So after that, wouldn't it be nice if we could all have a glass of wine? Which feeds into the first discussion item tonight. As part of the Senior Week series of events coming up at the Senior Center at the end of August, our Senior Center director came up with the idea to have a wine and cheese tasting event led by a professional sommelier, if possible. It would involve serving 6 to 8 ounces of wine per person at the tasting. That's the equivalent of about a glass and a half or so.
And you don't have to be a senior.
Yes, you do. So knowing that, we basically have a prohibition on alcohol for our facilities, she's requesting a one-time exception for that to be able to hold the event. I have been in touch, just so you're aware, with our risk manager to work out any insurance and liability issues that would present themselves. And we would have appropriate hold harmless documents and insurance certs naming us as an additional insured, et cetera. So that's the request before you. Just decide if that's something you want to allow or not.
Have we ever done this before?
This type of event?
Yeah, like giving this one time.
No.
It really hasn't come up.
No, at one time they wanted to, wasn't there one for St. Patrick's Day? They asked for
Well,
the
they also,
exemption.
they also wanted to let members have their parties there
Right.
and serve
And that was
alcohol.
all no, so this would be an
Yeah.
exemption or
Yeah.
a waiver of the ruling.
The reason we did that was because we didn't want the people attending the event, if they rented the hall out, not talking about this event, we did that a couple of years ago, because people were going from inside the place, drinking outside in the parking lot, then going over by the ball game for the kids, so we outlawed it completely. But this is just for the seniors for one day, and it's not a lot. I mean, I think we should let them have it.
Anybody else? No, that's a no, or you don't care?
No.
No problem. Anybody want to comment?
I don't have an issue with it at all.
So do we need a
Motion?
what do we need? A
You don't want to know,
resolution?
Mayor, you don't want to know.
What do we need?
They
Just-
can suspend the bylaws and pass a resolution tonight, or you can put
It's
it on
not
the
in the
agenda.
bylaws. It's not in the bylaws. We just said no, there's no
But they have
liquor.
to pass a resolution.
So we have to pass a resolution.
Yes.
And when is the senior week? It's after our next meeting.
It's the end of August.
Well, end
All right,
of
so we have time. So the next meeting will be.
July 19th.
See, perfect. I told you we would agree.
Finally, Matt. Finally,
I can
Matt.
indicate to Ariel the sentiment of the council, she can start making the arrangements and we can do the resolution.
Wine tasting is very nice.
It's good for your heart.
Red wine.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Open Space Trust Fund reauthorization.
Yes, so the Borough's Open Space Trust Fund was originally established in 2003, so this is actually the 20-year anniversary of having an Open Space Trust Fund. The current authorization was approved in 2013, so it's gone very quickly, but this is the last year for it, and the authorization expires at the end of the year. So if we're going to continue on with the Open Space Trust Fund, and the recommendation is that we do, we would have to have a referendum question on this year's ballot. With the date of that, we have time to do it. It's done via ordinance. We could introduce an ordinance at the meeting in July, adopt at the meeting in August, and then file and be compliant with the time frame to have that on the ballot in November. Mike, that was the 18th, I think.
Yes, the
That-
submission
that
to
one?
the
Submission
Bergen
deadline?
County Clerk's Office is August 18th.
So that's number one, do we want to go ahead with the referendum? Number two is what would be the wording in the referendum, what exactly would we ask? So when we did it 10 years ago, it was with really a focus still on for open space purchases. There was some language in there that if we could not identify any additional open space to buy, then we could use it for the other purposes set forth in the statute, such as active recreation, passive recreation, historic preservation, and the like, but those are very much secondary.
Actually, it says passive activities
Right.
are those that are relatively inactive or involve less energy, such as walking, sitting, picnicking, board and table games, nature walks, and observation.
Yes.
Those are inactive
Things like
activities, I
that.
think. And would you recommend also that it stays at 1 cent per $100?
So right now, the language, and I think we should continue this, allows the governing body, and it's always been 1 cent since the inception of it. It does allow the governing body flexibility to set it on an annual basis anywhere from ½ cent to a full 1 cent. The ½ cent floor is there because that's the minimum that you need to have in order to remain eligible as a planning incentive community under green acres. So there's a benefit there in the borough to have that. Thinking about it and thinking about what we have coming up, what we would like to propose as sort of the change in the language of the referendum would be to essentially mirror the statute and authorize the use of the funds for any of the purposes that are in the statute. So let's say we had a big rec project, we needed some grant match money for that. This would provide a funding source without needing to issue more debt or hit the general capital fund or result in another tax increase. It's already funding there that we're collecting. That's kind of the thinking behind it, but we did want to have that discussion given the timeframes involved.
Are you saying you want to remove the phrase of active, passive activities?
I'd like to, what I'm proposing is that the purposes just mirror the statute, that it could be used for any of the purposes set forth.
Well, that's what it says. If open space is not available for purchase, the monies in the fund would be used in accordance with law. And then for what then it was all added, all that passive.
Right, what I'm saying is that regardless of whether or not we think that down the road there still may be some open space to purchase, we authorize these other uses for the funding as well.
Let's hear from everybody.
So this would just make it a little more flexible.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we don't have to, it's not earmarked specifically for
Picnicking?
one thing. It's more flexible, and we can do more things with the money. I just think it just makes sense. It works well. Everyone seems comfortable with the penny, and but we can discuss it every year if we have to. And it's not like the money is accumulating and we're not using it. We get it and we use it to benefit the community. So I think it's a good thing, and this just makes it easier for us to do stuff.
So you want to eliminate the passive activities phrase?
I just want to make it read what the statute says.
What do you say?
Which is, if open space is not available for purchase, the monies in the fund would be used in accordance with law, period.
That's the current referendum.
That's the
current
language.
It would be different. It would be less stringent. We could use it for more things.
All right, and you're agreeable?
Yes. So is
How about
there?
everybody here?
We do have, at the next meeting,
Okay.
would you present the language that would be in the referendum, I guess? Or it would be what?
Right, so we would prepare an ordinance with the referendum language for introduction at the next meeting.
Are we going to?
I think that makes sense to me.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you very much.
all right. Any new business? Old business? Council committee reports. All right, Councilman, right?
Well, what is there to say about public events? Everybody, thanked everyone. Everybody, I hope, enjoyed the carnival. The weather was not the best, but it still was a great carnival. Thanks to our wonderful committee, and really thank you to Access for All. It's such a nice marriage, public events and Access for All. It just seems to it just seems to fit. Whatever we can do, we want to just make sure that we include Access for All. And as much as it works with with public events, it'll work with other events in town. Whatever you're doing, maybe before you start, think, hey, maybe I should get in touch with the Access for All people, because they might want to include some people and just make it that much better. I really, it's the Access for All. It's just made the public events that much more special. Just being able to help and do things like that. But again, we always need members. Please fill out a form and become a member of the public events and Access for All. And join us at our next event, bigger and better, every time. Thank you so much, Chopper. Without you, it's but you're our leader, so thank you, Chopper.
I take all the arrows. Are you getting involved in the grand opening of the public events? Getting involved with the grand opening?
We just started.
Just.
Yes, we just started.
You don't just sit back and rest.
Whatever Mike wants to do.
All right.
Mike's always there for us.
And a shout out to Mike's rec department. Thank you for rec. Rec is wonderful. My kids are winding their way down and it's getting sad. But Open Rec is wonderful. One of the best things I ever been a part of. And that has a lot to do with Mike too. But thank you. That's it, Mayor.
I'd also like to comment briefly again on the carnival. I mean, to see all the different organizations, civic organizations, I mean, it was a lot of work, but they had fun. You were able to talk to the person in the next booth and carry on all night. So it was a lot of work, but again, it was a fantastic event. And should all be very proud.
Just one more thing before, sorry. I just want to say thank you to the Carnival Company, because they allow us to open the Carnival early for Access for All. Without them doing that, it would be kind of difficult.
And they were very gracious. They weren't nasty or anything with the guys who ran by.
No, that seems to work well to our relationship with the Carnival Company. So thank you.
But you know, we thank Danny. I mean, he was there the whole time, working hard for everybody.
Dan was there more hours than me.
Danny DeLeo, you get a lot better.
Hey, Danny.
Dan the man, that's good. Yes. I'm sorry.
Thank you. No, it's okay.
You
Thank
didn't
you.
talk about wine at the senior center?
No. From the police department, in the month of May, officers conducted 301 motor vehicle stops and issued 555 motor vehicle summonses. I know they're out there. I mean, see them all the time, doing a great job. I really appreciate the work that they put in. And again, from being on the first aid squad, every police officer is so compassionate. When we go on a first aid call, they are there first. They tell us the situation before we even go in the building. So again, my hat off to the police. They're so compassionate, so caring, and very fortunate to work with them. The other announcement is from the senior citizens. I made a boo-boo tonight. I left my phone home. Sorry, big faux pas. Ariel sent me a reminder that there's going to be an opium presentation, the dangers of opium, at the Senior Citizen Center. And again, I left my
Opioid.
opioid.
They're not doing that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Opioid, right, I'm sorry. I can't even read my own writing here. I wrote it down so fast. So if you're interested in the program, call the Senior Center at 201-405-7731. And the Senior Center is going to be closed the 3rd, July 3rd and July 4th. And that's it, Mayor, thank you.
Wait,
July
bingo.
6th. July 6th, yeah.
July 6th, bingo.
Bingo.
July 6th, red, white, and bingo, 12 noon.
Right.
Don't forget.
Don't forget.
Councilman?
Just one thing. On the 21st, Chief Sanzeri sent an email requesting the borough remove ordinance 7-39, period 3B, parentheses 10G. He wants it removed. This is regarding
Parking.
the private, it used to be private way up in the reserve. He's basically stating that this ordinance is no longer applicable because at the time it was placed under, the road was not paved, it was to control private property. Property is no longer private. He took note of some of the public meetings where some of the residents believed that this ordinance can be enforced, but it really cannot be because it was for a private road.
I received, there's one resident in the reserve who watches Ramapo Trace, and he sent me the ordinance, and I sent it to the chief, and I sent it to Richard, and he says, but this is because it was when Ramapo Reserve, it was originally called Riverbend actually, was first built, that was only going to be for emergency vehicles, the gates were always going to be locked, and it was at the time of building. So we're trying, I don't know how we have to enforce that passenger vehicles should not be using the Glen Gray Road exit and the Truman Boulevard exit. It's only for the trucks that are over 3 times. And so I was waiting to hear from the chief or from Richard. Maybe you can work with him on something.
I've already talked, the borough attorney's already started to draft something.
Oh, so you're ahead of me.
Yes, I talked to the chief.
Oh, good.
And just so the people of the reserve understand, this has got nothing to do with whether the gate is open or closed. The chief is recommending that the gate stays closed. So I don't want anyone to get worried about that. And that's it.
But the gates won't be closed, it's for the trucks.
Well, no, he's talking, it can be open or closed as needed.
Right.
Right, basically.
But it's not going to permanently open the gates.
Right.
Right, basically this is a cleanup of outdated code language.
Correct. Well, it's just cleaned up a code language, but it's also been misinterpreted to believe it can be enforced now.
Right.
So,
Right, but it can't.
When it can't be. So.
Okay. That it?
That's it.
Oh, Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of quick things tonight. From the Oakland Communications Commission. The Television Committee will soon be launching their television sponsorship program. Residents and businesses alike can sponsor this programming. Additional information will be coming out soon. If interested in this program, contact the committee chairman, Jim Barry, at oaklandnjtv@gmail.com. The Memorial Day Parade is now airing every day at 8:30 a.m. and 10 p.m. on Oakland TV through the month of July. The parade will also premiere on the borough's YouTube channel on July 8th at 10 a.m. The various committees of the OCC continue to seek volunteers, so if you're interested, you can attend their next meeting on July 10th at 7:30 here in Council Chambers. From the library, summer reading has begun for all age groups. Participants read books, log their progress, and collect prizes along the way. The library encourages people to visit the website and click on various events on its calendar. You can also sign up for the newsletter on the homepage. Programs have been expanded for children by adding a 4-session STEM class and a 6-session art class. Again, details and registration for all events are on their website, and I'd like to wish everyone a happy and safe 4th of July. That's it.
Councilman.
Very simple reports tonight. For Oakland Rec, football signups are still underway. If people want to sign up for football, please go to the website and sign up. Also, the August rec meeting, the July rec meeting is actually moved to August. We're typically off. So Oakland Recreation Commission will meet August 7th at 8 p.m. at the Angeles Center. For Shade Tree, we are currently looking for 2 volunteers who want to join the Shade Tree Commission. Please submit your citizenship form as we're looking for, again, for 2 more volunteers. And the Shade Tree Commission will not meet in July. We're taking a month off, but we'll meet again in August. And just real quick from DPW, everyone said it. I want to thank you for what I did for the carnival and for the month of June, right? You look at from the baseball parade to the carnival to road work they've done, emergency road work they've done. So I know sometimes they get beat up a little bit with the road work, which is I don't think they deserve. But I think you just want to say thank you for all the hard work you do with the community. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you. Motion to open to the public.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi, I'm Joe Hoffman at 33 Spear Street. And I'm just
Hi.
wondering, will I be able to see my town fly the gay pride flag?
We will talk after the meeting. It's not, I don't know, the open to the public is not a debate. It's to hear your comments, and then we'll get back to you.
Go ahead.
Hello, Judith Ashbrook, 91 Chickasaw, born and raised in Oakland. I'm an active member in Ponds Church. As a bookkeeper. Love Oakland. Also, my spouse became a member at the Oakland Elks. We would like you to raise the flag. The flag is important to us. My own father went through a 4-year process trying to understand what it meant that he had a gay daughter. And what does that mean? Gay daughter wants to marry a woman. What does that mean? What does it mean for the church? All this is important in flying the flag. The flag is a sign of hope and promise. The new flag with the black, brown, and a couple other, we don't have that one.
No, you had it.
But
You had
it's
the
all
butterfly.
inclusive, so it helps identify Oakland as being a more diverse community. I remember in Valley, when I was in 7th grade, this is going back to, I think, 78. 77 or 78 was the very first black family that moved to town, and issues that became of that. And since then, we've much more diverse. I see many Asian in the area, the Asian church down off Arapahoe Valley Road, as well as the Latino community, work in many of the businesses right here in Arapahoe Valley. So please consider flying the flag to help invite a more open and happy, loving community. Thank you for hearing me.
Hi, my name is Wanda Ashbrook. My in-laws live here. I started coming here about almost 15 years ago. I'm a member of Ponds. I'm also a deacon at Ponds Reformed Church. I also work for the federal government, the Census Bureau. I understand the demographics of the town, but the most important thing is that since Pond has opened its doors and we donated a flag to Pond many years ago to fly during Pride Month, it was a big discussion. They debated for a while whether or not to fly it. There was a lot of controversy around it. When the decision was made by the members, it was difficult, but what we found was when we put the Pride flag up, it opened the doors not just to the LGBTQ community, but to everyone. All of a sudden, we had an open and affirming sign. There was no rainbow on it, but you know what? There were refugees in town. There was people that needed food. They came to Ponds. All of a sudden, we saw Ponds change. We went from a small church, older congregation. Now we have young families moving into town with their children, baptizing their children. We work with Barnet Church in the area. We see the demographics changing here. As a federal worker with the Census Bureau, I collect the statistical data for every survey. I'm very proud of that. And flying the flag, especially the Pride flag, opens it up to the young children that see it, that are confused, that need to have a conversation with their parents. This is about having open dialogue with their parents, understanding who they are. My concern is that no child dies, not one. I do not want to lose one child to jump off another bridge. We've lost too many children in New Jersey due to suicide because they're confused, they're lost. But you know what? When they see a Pride flag at a church, it's a safe haven. Churches have always been a place of sanctuary where you can go, you can pray to God. You don't know who you're praying to, but you know that you could find a safe pastor or maybe somebody to talk to. This is about the children. Judy and I take in homeless children all throughout Bergen County, very rich towns that the parents have put the children out. They're in the street. Judy and I take them in because we do not want them going into New York City. Things happen there, unsafe things. We want them, we make sure that they continue, graduate from high school, get into college, graduate, military members. These children, these young adults now are doing very well. We need more of these services. This flag at our church meant more than just, oh, we're celebrating Pride. It meant that children knew they had a safe place. We've been told this story over and over when they drive by. Could you imagine if they had a Pride flag at Oakland just for 1 month, at the town, at the police department, the community that you would continue to form, especially with the new parents that are coming in from New York City, looking for that diversity. We know because we hear it at our church. And I hope that Oakland will continue to grow. The numbers are on uscensus.gov. They're there for you to see how the town has grown. And I think that when you just fly any flag, the Veterans flag, the 4th of July flag, people come together to celebrate what it is to be an American. And I think that's what this is about, growing all our communities. I hope you consider it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rachel Spina, 135 Franklin Ave here in Oakland. The last time I came up here to speak was back when we were trying to get the banner recognized in town. I wasn't planning on speaking, but I was spurred to speak out of anger because of some disparaging comments that were made by a fellow resident. And in my anger, I came out as a part of the queer community for the first time publicly. It was a surprise to me. It wasn't intentional, but I decided that that declaring myself as part of the community was more important than my fear. Unbeknownst to me at the time, there was a young person in the audience here. It was a girl that I used to babysit. She reached out to me later that night to let me know how touched she was by what I had done. And she shared with me that she had come out to her family the year before and how touched she was that somebody who she looked up to and she loved growing up was a part of that community with her. Later on, I attended a Board of Ed meeting at Rampo Indian Hills when they were talking about banning books in regards to LGBTQ themes. And I spoke up for the students as an alumnus of Indian Hills myself. And after that, a group of students came up to me and told me that what I said moved them to tears because for the first time they felt supported and they felt like somebody was speaking up for them. The Trevor Project in 2022 did a survey on LGBTQ youth and mental health, and the survey captured experiences of nearly 34,000 LGBTQ youth ages 13 to 24 across the United States, with 45% of them being youth of color and 48% being transgender or non-binary, and these are just some statistics I feel are important. 45% of the youth seriously considered committing suicide in that year. 73% reported that they have experienced discrimination based on their sexual orientation or gender identity at least once in their lifetime. Nearly 2 in 5 LGBTQ youth reported living in a community that is somewhat or very unaccepting of LGBTQ people. And LGBTQ youth who live in a community that is accepting of LGBTQ people reported significantly lower rates of attempting suicide than those who did not. A couple of years ago, I was applauded and praised by this community, some of the members on this council, for my bravery in speaking up my truth that day. We didn't get a flag, but the banner was a compromise. We paid for it ourselves. And then the ordinances changed and the banner was taken away. So we don't have a flag, we don't have a banner, we don't have support for me and my community. Recently, I'm gonna be honest, someone from my job asked me, Rachel, what do you like? Do you like living in Oakland? And I was like, yeah, it's great, but I don't wanna have to say it's great, but I just wanna say it's great, but I don't feel I can. And I just want to end, one of my favorite books is called The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. It is a very cozy queer tale about finding your family. And there's a quote from that book that I come back to often when I'm speaking about things like this, and that is, hate is loud, but I think you'll learn it's because it's only a few people shouting, desperate to be heard. You might not ever be able to change their minds, but so long as you remember that you're not alone, you will overcome. And I really think that a flag would show that we're louder than the hate.
Hi, my
my name is Liz Carletta, 161 Lakeshore Drive. I also want to ask the council to consider flying a pride flag for the next couple of days and also every year in June. I fully agree and support what's already been said that, I mean, it's just so important for LGBTQ youth to know that they are accepted and to feel comfortable where they live or where they visit. It's equally important for their parents and other community members, whether you're a parent or not, to, if you haven't had any of these conversations, to start having these conversations. Every child, every adult should feel welcome and included where they live. I also want to say that it's, mostly I would say it's important for the LGBTQ community. I can't speak on their behalf, but it's also important for the straight community. It's important for allies who support the community. It's important for people who don't understand it yet, to begin to learn to understand and accept people. And I also want to say I moved to Oakland with my husband in 2011. I'm from Bergen County, but Oakland was new to us and we didn't have kids at the time, and it's kind of hard as not so young adults in a new town to find your people, especially if you don't have kids and you're not in the school system, right? We were both working professionals, always not home. And I found my community through the Pride group here in town. And as an atheist, it was really tough for me to go to Pond's Church. Honestly, I was like, why is the Pride group meeting in Pond's Church? But I've learned a lot about that church since I've moved here, and it's a wonderful place. I don't go there to worship, but I have been there for the Pride group and other groups, other community groups in Oakland. I think it's fantastic that they fly the rainbow flag and the open and affirming, and I just love them for that. But for young people or old people who are in the LGBTQ community and don't feel comfortable going to a church for other reasons, if they don't understand where the people and community of Ponds is coming from, there needs to be another place, right? And your town should be your place. Flying a flag is not going to hurt anybody. It will only serve to help people, both within and outside of the LGBTQ plus community. So please, please, please consider flying the flag. Thank you.
Chopper Russo, 392 Ramble Valley Road. Sometimes I say with government, if I ran my business the way some of the government does, I'd be out of business. I just wanted to bring to your attention, I know we're talking about PFAS, so whenever I get a house that has a well, I tell them to get it tested right away.
They have to.
Even if I don't get the listing, I say, go get it tested. People don't know that, just like they didn't know who Bush was, all right? All right. So, up in Vernon, I had PFAS, we got it remediated. Come to find out from my engineer and from the lab I deal with, the state of New Jersey is coming up with new rules and regulations in November. So, let's be smart business people here. Is the system that the borough intends to install, is it good for the PFAS of today or the new ones that they want us to do in November and December? I'm just hoping they'll do that. Because I get frustrated when I know that we're going to bring in a main line of a sewer, and at the same time we're taking care of 3 independent systems, and that all the holes we're digging now, down the road we're going to dig the same holes or tear up the same streets to put in the sewer. Ideally, it's not a perfect world, but I'm just saying, if I knew I'm doing the sewers for the independent, and I want to do the sewers for the main, and I got to cut up Rample Valley Road, and I got to cut up Franklin Avenue, why do I got to do it twice?
Because the DEP won't let us.
I know, but I'm just saying. So
we would do it.
So let's take a small win, and let's hope that we have the well set up for these knuckleheads that keep changing the rules.
Remember what you said about government. Government is
Yeah, I know.
incidentally
I mean,
on
look,
itself.
well water tests were 500, then they were 750. In less than 3 years, went 950 to 1250. November, December, they're going to be $1,500.
And I think the only lab that can test for PFAS is in Tennessee.
Really?
That's what I heard from one of the water providers.
I mean, but I just hoping that, we do it and.
So I'll just say it because I was on a panel speaking about this today. So the old national standard was 70 parts per million.
Mm-hmm.
New Jersey lowered to 13 parts per million. By
trillion.
2025, the federal government is going down to 5.
Wait till you
right.
see the new radon rules.
Oh, I know. No, I'm dealing with that. You need 2 canisters now. So, on the amendments for the downtown, is that to be voted by, or can the public input on that? At
Yes.
what point?
It's
Is that-
just introduction.
It was just
It's gonna be a
introduced
hearing.
tonight.
Okay.
And so what happens is, you could get a list, I'll just give you all the ordinances, and then we ask for suggestions from the public, and then we have to have it open to the public before we vote.
Well, you missed paddle balls in there, I look.
Ms. Patton?
Paddle tennis, yeah. Ally, did I thank you for helping us out?
No.
All right, so I got you. Mike Wad, thank you. Your lightning thing drove me crazy. I was still on that thing Sunday and Monday, mud on.
Saturday
Mike-
night, 30.
My wife thought it was my sugar thing, kept smacking me.
I heard it
It's Mike
yesterday,
Wad. All right, I wrote stuff down so I don't forget this time. All right, so that's it. All right, so we don't need to get a new
No, we're not
system to
going
fix
to.
the well. All right, thank you very much.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Hi. Sorry, you have to give your name and address.
I know, Ann Theater, 33 Winding Ridge. So I just wanted to come up here and thank those of you who have been battling for the money for Patriots Way Bridge. I know the mayor has
Daily.
been, I know, and Mr. Kemick and Mr. Kunz and everybody who's been, working on this. It is appreciated. I know I come to most of these meetings and I am frustrated, and sometimes my frustration comes out, but I want to know everybody here to know that's worked on it, that it is appreciated. It's been a long time, and so it was nice to hear that there's a plan in place. So thank you. And I did have 2 questions. One was, I just wanted to know what the actual, not the timeline for the project itself, but the timeline between now and November when the project can start. What happens now? What does the council have to do to start I know that there needs to be bidding, so what needs to be passed in order to get that part started so that we're ready by November?
Our engineer will send us, we'll have a timeline.
Okay, so okay. I'd like to know that, like what has to happen
So-
between
so
now
wait.
and November. Okay, and then the other question I had was, I didn't know that there was an agreement in place between the borough and the county with regard to future maintenance of the bridge. Is that signed? It's not signed. What's going on with that? Because this is the first I've heard of it. Is that not gonna happen?
No, that's down the road. That's something, just so you know,
We
we
want it to
had
happen.
tried to give the bridge to the county. How many meetings did we go to, and how many times did we speak with the county?
Too
Every
many.
every time I saw the county executive, he ran away from me because I said, don't you want to buy a bridge? They'll give you the bridge, because this is the biggest bridge in the county, and maybe the state, owned by a municipality.
Right.
And
Right.
they said, no, we met with the engineers, I've been to the county administrator. It was incredible. We met with the county engineers, our engineers, everybody we could think of. And they said, we won't even talk to you until you get a new bridge.
Okay, so.
That's where it is.
So then,
That's the answer.
so that's the plan or
That's
to
the
try?
answer. Then I'm gonna hand them the bridge. I'm gonna invite them to the ribbon cutting and say, the bridge is yours. The brand new bridge.
What's that?
Go buy when it's fixed.
So the county hasn't said they would accept the bridge?
I'll keep begging. After I get the funding
Okay,
that we need for the bridge, then I'll start with the county.
okay,
Being a
Yeah.
pest with the county.
okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Motion closed?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bills to be paid.
Bills to be paid, $1,049,402.91. So moved.
Second.
If you read the bills list, you can vote. Roll call.
Councilmembers McCann?
Yes.
Pignatelli?
Yes.
Saliani?
Yes.
Kuzinski?
Yes.
Palomino?
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
The meeting is adjourned. Our next meeting is Wednesday, July 19th, 7 o'clock. I want to make sure you know that the municipal building will be closed on Monday and Tuesday for the July 4th weekend. And then on the 5th, come to Access for All meeting. I'm coming. I can't find the coming. I will be the representative.
Chief,